Hey, welcome to the Hey Bills podcast with me, Joey D, your host. Episode number 3 for the season of 2023. It's our first season to doing this. Tuesday, August the 1st, 6 days through training camp. And just as a little bit of a quick intro, if you have not yet seen this is a new thing that I'm doing. My name is Joey D, just a fan. Always been a fan, lifelong Bills fan. Originally from Western New York. Moved away when I was, it was 1988, which means I was 20 years old, 21 years old, something like that. And moved away at that point to the Carolinas. Still live down here all these years later in Myrtle Beach, the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area, Surfside Beach, technically just south of Myrtle Beach, where the locals live, not where the tourists are. But glad to be with you here once again after day 6 of training camp was today. It was a second day with pads on. And again, you'll see, being just a fan, I'm not going to, I try not to give you the typical media perspective. Now, mind you, I get a lot of my information. I do pass along a lot of info as much as I can. I do get a lot of my information from the media, from other podcasts, from WGR out of Buffalo, and from One Bills Live, the Bills broadcast, from, other podcasts like Joe Marino's Locked On Bills, the Shout Buffalo podcast with Matt Perino and Ryan, what's his name? I was going to say Ryan Bates, but no, he's a player. Ryan, the other guy, Ryan. I think I'm going to have, this is going to be an every episode thing for me. My memory's awful, so you'll see I look at notes a lot. And as a former radio broadcaster, not as a host, but I was a radio disc jockey for music stations. When I was on the radio, I was always looking at notes. I didn't read verbatim, but I always had notes knowing what I was wanting to say. But it was radio, so you didn't see me looking at notes. Now you see me looking at my notes, so I'm sorry. My memory's not great, and I think every podcast I'm going to forget a name. Just like Ryan. Oh, God, I just watched their podcast like 2 hours ago, too, from today. Anyway, and then I also, the Buffalo Plus podcast as well. They're Rochester television folks, including Mike Catalano, longtime Rochester Bills beat reporter. Mike Catalano, Jenna Cottrell, who, by the way, is probably my favorite female Bills beat reporter and one of my favorite females in sports media. She's fantastic and really knows her stuff. And just is a really good broadcaster. I really like her. So Jenna Cottrell, if you ever see this, I'm a fan. And then Dan Fates is part of that too, part of the Rochester TV crew. They have great coverage of Bills training camp since Bills training camp is in their neck of the woods, Pittsford, New York. Okay, again, after the 6 days, the last 2 with pads, today and yesterday were the first 2 days with pads on. So O-linemen, D-linemen, linebackers, these kind of things you can see a little better with the pads on. And again, I haven't seen anything you haven't seen. I've seen the little clips that the Bills release, and that's about it, because the Bills don't allow media to release things during training camp for competitive reasons, and most teams don't. But I do follow all the reports that I can, and I try and pass that info on to you here, so that way you don't have to listen to all the reports I do. You can just watch this, and I'll pass along what I've heard over the last couple of days. Here's what I have heard. Stars of training camp so far are 3 offensive players, even though apparently today was a big defensive day. 3 offensive players so far. Apparently, Stefon Diggs has dominated training camp. Just continues to dominate. Even though word is that Trey White seemingly has his footing back, has his speed back, has his confidence back. He's chirping a little bit, making some noise. Even though he looks good, Diggs just seems to dominate. Everything thrown his way, he catches. He's always open. They're connecting a lot. And Diggs is into it. Diggs is intense, is one way of putting it. And this, from all reports, they're like, yeah, he's always been intense. Yeah, he's always practiced hard, but it's like a next level. After we saw that press conference from him at the opening of training camp, it's like he's following up on everything he said in that press conference, and he takes seriously what he said in that I've got more football behind me than ahead of me, and it's important to me, and no one questions his work ethic and his intensity, and he's practicing like that apparently, and he's dominating. He's playing like one of the best receivers in football on the practice field for the first 6 days of training camp, apparently. He's the star of training camp so far. Star number two. Now, we're not going to include Josh Allen in this because I think that's expected of him at this point. So we're kind of, obviously, all three of these top 3 stars of camp so far are guys that Josh Allen has to get the ball to. So Josh is kind of a given. It's kind of like he's the MVP of the team. Okay, great. Who are the 3 stars after that? Kind of like in hockey, you get the 3 stars. These are the 3 stars. Diggs, number 1 star. Dalton Kincaid, apparently, has been just opening eyes. A lot of national reporters were at camp both today and yesterday, and including Peter King, including the Good Morning Football folks from NFL Network, and apparently Kay Adams, who used to be with Good Morning Football, who does her own podcast. She was at training camp this morning. NFL Network was at training, or NFL Radio, and Sirius NFL Radio was at training camp today. And apparently everybody's saying how Kincaid is the real deal. He really looks like he's the real deal. That Dalton Kincaid is probably star number 2 of camp so far, and he's a rookie. Just think how good he's going to be. That excites me. The possibilities that this already was one of the top offenses in the league, and now you can go 2 tight ends. That's exciting. Star number 3. And I am going to reference a guy that I listen to a lot of his stuff, Joe Marino from Locked On Bills podcast, who's based out of Charlotte, by the way, North Carolina, here in the Carolinas with me, actually. I need to hang out with Joe. I'm going up to Charlotte later this month. Basically, am I going to be? It'll be after the last preseason game, or am I? I might be in Charlotte. I think I'm in Charlotte for the last preseason game. So, last weekend of August, I'm in Charlotte. I may have to look up Joe. Hey, Joe Marino, if you see this, let's hook up. We'll go hook up at Pizzante Pizza. Have us some buffalo pizza and wings while I'm in town. Anyway, Joe Marino of Locked On Bills has always been kind of a critic, and he says it himself. His former job as a scout tells him, and the numbers tell him, that Gabe Davis is a limited wide receiver. He's always said down the field, he's great. Short routes, getting separation, a short distance from the line of scrimmage, he's never been good at. Statistics say so throughout his pro and college careers. Joe Marino has always said that. Well, Joe Marino was at camp today and yesterday. And today, what he said was, actually, it might have been even yesterday. One of his, either today or yesterday, he came on and said, look, I know I've said this about Gabe Davis before, but I'll tell you what, he's impressed me with his non-down the field route running and separation and catching the ball when it comes his way and run after catch, which he's never been good at with short distance passes. Joe Marino's impressed. And I think, considering he was always a critic, I'm going to put Gabe Davis as number 3, because also the guys on One Bills Live today, Brownie and Tasker, were raving about Gabe Davis and about how great he's looked the last 2 days and how he looks faster than he used to look. He is healthy this year. last year, a lot of it was said a lot that he had issues with that high ankle sprain he had early in the year, and it hampered him all year. That's kind of the word, that why he had what some say is a down year. Actually, he had more catches and more yardage than he's ever had in his pro career, but people were expecting actually more after the previous playoffs. Anyway, Gabe Davis, star number 3 of camp so far. Other notable developments I'm going to basically look at these last 3 days, because I did a podcast on Saturday based on the first 3 days of camp. This is my next podcast. This is the last 3 days. That was today, Monday, and Sunday, with, again, today and yesterday, Monday, being the first 2 days of padded practices. Other notable developments. Again, offensive line, you can see a little more once pads come on, and apparently O'Cyrus Torrence, the rookie second-round draft pick out of Florida, is impressing. Word was he was kind of impressing before the pads, but that was a lot of footwork. He looked light on his feet. He looked quick for his size. Now that the pads are on, you can see a little bit more with offensive linemen, and apparently the last 2 days with pads, the Bills have lined him up at a starting guard position more than anyone else other than Connor McGovern. Connor McGovern looks like he has one of the guard spots locked down, which isn't surprising because they paid him a good chunk early on in free agency. And when they did that, he would have to really screw up to not be a starting guard on this team. Well, it looks like the last 2 days anyway, O'Cyrus Torrence has gotten more play at the other guard spot than any of the other crew that's trying to get that position. That includes Bates, who was last year's starter, Ryan Bates. David Edwards, who is also a starter in this league for the Rams when they won the Super Bowl, that they signed in free agency. And then there's Quessenberry and Botker and the others. And it looks like, so far, O'Cyrus Torrence is making noise to be the starter from day one. We're going to have to keep an eye on that and take a look. And again, it looks like another notable development is Connor McGovern. Looks like he's locked up the other guard spot. Looks like it. Again, we can't be sure, but it kind of looks that way, at least as much as you could tell this early on in training camp prior to the first preseason game. All right. Another thing you could tell once pads come out, linebackers and the hitting starts and the blocking starts, and are they filling the hole? Are they doing the things linebackers are meant to do other than covering? Because covering you could tell before the pads come on, but are they filling the run holes? Are they doing what they need to be doing? And it looks now the first 3 days of training camp, it was rotated. It was Tyrel Dotson. Day 1 was first string. Day 2 was Terrell Bernard was first string. Day 3 was Baylon Spector was first string. And then I raved about Baylon Spector on my last podcast because people were really saying that he looked good. Well, in this next go-round, Dotson started when he was supposed to on day 4. And then Terrell Bernard started yesterday like he was supposed to yesterday on Monday. And then today, Dotson was the starter again, kind of skipping over Baylon Spector. Now, mind you, I've heard Baylon Spector made several plays and was noticeable with the second team, but he was with the second team and not with the first team like Dotson was. Does this mean Dotson is taking a step up to take this job? Again, wait and see. All right, defensive end. From what I'm hearing, these last 2 days since pads have come on, Shaq Lawson has gotten more play than he had. And he's getting more play. It's almost like he's jumped ahead of guys like A.J. Epinesa and Boogie Basham, which I love because I've been a big Shaq supporter since day 1. Love Shaq. Got to meet him when the Bills did their joint practice with the Panthers a few years ago in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Tris and I, wife and I, went to go see them, and it was a cool experience. 2 days. Did we go 2 days? I think we went 2 days. Did we go 2 days? Got to meet Pete Metzelaars. Got Steve Tasker to sign my Tasker jersey, which I had on, which is, since that day forward, I have not washed, and it is hanging up now in my living room. So Shaq is getting a lot more play. And a surprise, the dark horse of the DNs, Shane Ray, former first-round draft pick who fell out of favor, went up to play in Canada the last 2 years, is now back in the NFL trying to get a spot with the Bills. Shane Ray, basically one of our guy, Von Miller's best friend. Supposedly he's one of Von's best friends on planet Earth, which that helps him, I'm sure. And that happened when Shane Ray was a draft pick with the Denver Broncos way back when he was a rookie and Von was a veteran. And Shane Ray apparently is getting a little extra playing time ahead of a guy like maybe, is Boogie Basham falling back? Is Boogie going to be a trade candidate soon? It's too early to tell, but we're going to be playing the wait and see game. All right, someone else I've heard is making waves in training camp so far. Cam Lewis, backup safety, came into the league from University of Buffalo as a slot corner. They transitioned him over to safety last year. He's a backup safety with Damar Hamlin. And Cam Lewis is making play after play after play, apparently, in training camp. And not only as a safety, also they're lining him up back in his original position of slot cornerback behind Taron Johnson. So he's getting play as both a safety and as a slot corner. And he's a key guy on special teams. So if he can continue to do that sort of thing, not only is he going to lock himself up a spot on the roster, he'll lock himself up a spot on the game day roster and not be scratched, not be a healthy scratch, because he would be a key backup and a guy on special teams. Cam Lewis making some noise so far in training camp at both safety and slot cornerback behind Taron Johnson. All right, so cornerbacks. I haven't talked about cornerbacks, mainly because it looks like nothing's been settled. It looks like the same thing that I've talked about in my first 2 episodes. It's Dane Jackson, Kaiir Elam, Christian Benford, but there is a slight difference. This is for cornerback 2. Trey White looks good so far as cornerback 1. Tremaine Edmonds, that was a flashback. Trey White looks good so far at cornerback 1. Word is the last 2 days, Dane Jackson and Kaiir Elam were getting more play ahead of Christian Benford. The Christian Benford was getting a lot of second and third team reps, while Dane Jackson and Kaiir Elam were sharing the first and second team reps. And then even they gave Trey White a rest day apparently today, or if not a rest day, a day where he just didn't do nearly as much. And apparently Dane Jackson and Kaiir Elam were on the field together as the 2 starters for much of the practice, while Benford was on the second team. I don't know if that was just for today, and then maybe Benford gets more play the next couple. We don't know that because it's so early in training camp, but it is something to keep an eye out for, something of significance. All right. Last but definitely not least, I saved this for last for a reason, because this is probably, no, not probably. In my eyes, this fan's eyes. Not a guy, I'm not predicting anything. I'm not saying he's going to be a starter when the 2 guys ahead of him are gone, or one of the 2 guys ahead of him are gone. I'm not saying any of that. All I'm saying is, based on what happened last year, based on the fact that, okay, he was an NFL player who got some starting time last year because of Micah Hyde's injury and Jordan Poyer getting hurt a lot last year. Um, he became a worldwide sensation after what happened, with the whole world cheering for him after he nearly died on the field. It's a big damn deal. Monday, milestone. He put the pads on for the first time since that fateful day in Cincinnati last year. That had to be big for him. That was a big deal to the fans in attendance. That was a big deal to the national media members that were there. Everyone's made a very big deal out of this, and I think you can't make a big enough deal out of it. Not only that, yesterday, again, first day of pads, first day of hitting and contact for him, again, since that day back in Cincinnati. Big, 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 big. And he got over it. He looked, apparently he looked the part, wasn't tentative, did what he needed to do. Then today, he had several defensive teammates following him down the field and celebrating with him in the end zone as he got a pick six in practice today. Yeah, Damar Hamlin, my guy, did it today. Pick six, and apparently I've not seen video of this. I'm hoping the Bills release video of this. I'm hoping they have video of it, and I hope they release video of it in the next day or so, because it's what I want to see. That happened today. Tomorrow, there is no practice. The team has a day off, so maybe tomorrow they'll release a bunch of video, or late tonight, and I'm hoping that's the case. But just, I would stand up, but then I'd be out of the picture. Stand up and cheer for Damar Hamlin. Just such great moments these last 2 days. All right. I am probably dehydrated. Hang on. This is not a product placement. No sponsors here. That is good, though. Wow. Peach tea. Love me some peach tea. They also make what do they make? They make like an Arnold Palmer, the lemonade tea mix. That's really good too. Not alcoholic Arnold Palmer. Anyway, I don't know when my next one of these is going to be. I do know they don't practice tomorrow, Wednesday. They have a Thursday, and then there's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I think. Or is it a Thursday and then Friday is the blue and red game back at the stadium in Orchard Park? I know the blue and red game is coming up this weekend. It's either Friday or Saturday. I'm not sure. I do know they go back to practice on Thursday. They don't practice tomorrow. And then the return of the blue and red game, I think it's Friday. I think I heard today it was Friday. If not, it's for sure Saturday. So I'll probably wait till after the blue and red game to do my next video, so I can see some video of the blue and red, hear about what happened and all of that, and report on that. So I'll probably wait till after the blue and red game. And the blue and red game, I think, is at night. So it'll probably be the next day that I record my next podcast. Because, I mean, I don't want to just record them to record them. There's got to be something to talk about. So we'll wait till then, unless something else pops up and I feel like I need to talk about it. Anyway, by the way, before I go, I did see, like probably many of you, I'm a member of many Bills Mafia fan groups in Facebook, and saw somebody the other day complaining that, NFL Network's not carrying any of the Bills preseason games this year, which isn't true. Maybe they're not carrying them live, but, I mean, they don't carry many of them live. They really don't. I think we got really lucky last year that they carried 2 of them live because we were the hype team. The Jets are the hype team this year, so I'm guessing we're going to see some Jets preseason. But and Detroit's a big hype team too, so we might see some of that. But if you don't know, the NFL Network every year carries every single preseason game of every team. Now, only a select few of them are live. Many of them are recorded and then they play them almost 24 hours a day. Like there are times when I can't watch them when they're on TV because they're on TV at like 3 a.m. So I record. So be looking out when the Bills preseason games start next weekend, not this weekend, but the following weekend. When all the preseason games get started, be looking on your channel guide to find out when NFL Network is playing your game. It'll be on there, but it won't be on there yet probably, but it'll be on there soon. And you can go ahead and see when the Bills play, and you can record it if you're not going to be available to watch. It really doesn't matter when you see. You don't have to see preseason game live. Say that again. Rewind. You don't have to see preseason games live. The result doesn't matter. The final score is irrelevant. It doesn't count at all. The reason you watch preseason games is to see what X player looks like. Let's see what Damar Hamlin looks like. Let's see what the cornerback battle's looking like and how these guys look. Let's see what maybe Osiris Torrance, the rookie, looks. You're looking to see certain things because there's really no game plan. It's very vanilla. There's no strategy much. Yeah, the teams are trying to win, but it's very low-key trying to win. More than trying to win, teams are trying to see certain players in certain situations to see how they handle things and how good they look. That's what coaches and teams are trying to do. So, you know what? Again, it doesn't matter if they're live. I saw people complaining on there and say, oh, they're not going to play them live. Who cares? Oh, getting a little jumpy there. Who cares if they play them live? It doesn't matter. Just record them. They're going to have all 3 games on. And I look forward to it every year. And I might not watch every minute of every preseason game. They sometimes do get very boring in the fourth quarter when you got guys out there that you've never heard of. Literally, guys. And I'm sitting here talking to all these guys. These are guys way at the bottom of the roster that have no shot of making the team. And, probably don't even have any shot to make the practice squad, but they're out there. But I enjoy preseason games, and hopefully you will too. Again, I will see you probably Saturday, either Saturday or Sunday. Again, the day after the return of the blue and red, so I can get updated as to what happened during the scrimmage. Again, thank you for being here. I'm trying to spread the word because I want to see if people are interested. I'm not trying to build an empire here. I'm not trying to be the next Joe Marino or the next Matt Perino or any of these guys. I'm not trying to be those guys. I'm just trying to be me. I'm trying to be Joey D, just a fan with a broadcast background that wants an outlet to be able to talk Bills, and this is a great way of doing it, at least in my opinion. I enjoy it. Hopefully there's a few more of you that do as well. Even I know my family and like some of my good friends enjoy it, but hopefully even some people that don't know me will enjoy this. If you do, like, and then subscribe to the YouTube channel, because then these are going to be easier to find, and YouTube will alert you when there's new ones. Or if not, what you do, like what I do, when to find stuff I want to see, I go to YouTube and I hit the subscriptions button, and everything you're subscribed to pops up, all the latest stuff. So if you subscribe to it, my stuff will pop up. So again, that's the way to, or friend me on Facebook. That's another way to watch this. I always post these on Facebook right after they drop on YouTube. But YouTube is kind of the home of them, and then they show up on Facebook as well. So, like my Facebook page, friend me on Facebook as well, and you'll be able to see them there as well. All right. Thanks again for indulging me. I don't know why I'm doing this. I feel like you are Mr. Miyagi and I am Daniel-san. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm goofy and I'm getting punch drunk on Snapple, and I'll see you next time. Go Bills!